What's up, Ranger fans? It's your boy Steve Cardenas, aka Rocky the Red Power Ranger, and you are listening to The Power Chamber. Morphin' time.
Alpha 37 online. Welcome, buddies, to the Power Chamber. Teleporting hosts now.
Hey buddies, it's Morphin' time. Welcome to the Power Chamber Live. I am, of course, your host, the Hey Buddy Black Ranger, Rob Buck. And today we are celebrating the 30th anniversary of Green with Evil Part 2. Originally airing October 6th, 1993. We have Jason's Battle. I do want to thank once again the Power Trip. We're going to take that again. We're live, folks. I do want to thank again the Power Trip for helping me out yesterday with part 1. Great discussion. Love talking to those two. And today, we're going to run things solo for the time being, it looks like. And that's okay. That's how we do this. Do have a couple guests lined up for you later on for other parts of the saga, but today we are looking at Green with Evil Part 2, Jason's Battle. We're going to watch along with each other. If you're on Netflix, you can hop on Netflix and pull it up. Go ahead and sync it up to 000. And if you want to open up a second tab on YouTube and watch along, you're more than free to. I will be using YouTube for this one, which I'm pulling up right now on my phone. But yeah, Jason's Battle. Very tension-filled, isolating. It definitely puts you in a position that you're not familiar with for the most part with this team. Normally you rely on the fact that the friends are coming, the cavalry will be coming, and the day will be saved. But with this, it's a whole different ball game, boys and girls, with Jason alone. The command center is destroyed, Zordon's missing. You know, it's a very big handicap, and the last thing that we want to do is have our leader missing in action, and that's exactly what happens. So I'm very excited to take a look at this. We are just waiting for a few more people here. See who manages to pop in, say hi. Like I said, we are taking a look at Jason's Battle of Green with Evil Part 2. Not a whole lot of people realize that there were alternate titles along with the parts. The airing would just list it as Green with Evil Part X. But yes, yesterday we were looking at Out of Control. Today we're looking at Jason's Battle. I do not have my Lightning Collection Red Ranger with me, but I do have the Red Sentry, made famous from the coinless world in the Boom Studios comics. I love this figure. There's something about, you got your traditional red with the white accents, but adding that hint of black and a little bit of gold really adds to it. The cape is somewhere. I don't really like to display it with the cape. But yeah, he's got a front row seat here. Got his little chair here. Gotta be comfortable as we watch some Power Rangers. So go ahead if you want a good laugh. You turn on the captions. They're auto-generated on YouTube, so it's not always accurate, but we're gonna figure it out. Also, if you hear a little bit of clicking, Yeah, my rabbit is thirsty once again. How's it going, Alice? Cool. So, right, we're going to go ahead and cue it up. I'm gonna wait for a few more people while I read the plot synopsis. Hopefully a little bit more left to the imagination than the back of the VHS box that we read yesterday with part 1 that pretty much gave away the whole plot of the episode. So with Green with Evil Part 2, Tommy returns to Earth and acts cold and rude to Kimberly. Soon after a successful training run on the beach, Rita gives Tommy the Sword of Darkness, which acts as a catalyst for keeping him under her spell. Our heroes remain at a loss for a plan, but devote as much time into it as they can. So, quick little rundown there. And yeah, so without further ado, I've got queued up. We are at zeros across the board. My phone just fell over. That's not good when you're trying to watch something. So, all right. And we're just going to count it down. And when I say play, you hit play. And that way you can sync it up with me. And we will have a good time. And in 3, 2, 1, play. Now here we have the classic intro with the just every time you saw this intro, you knew you were about to have a good time growing up. I'm sure I watched it the first time it aired, but I was 2 when season 1 of Power Rangers was on the air. So I have distinct memories of certain episodes, but not the first time. I've talked about it on the regular pod episodes that I've grown up always knowing Tommy was the Green Ranger or the White Ranger, depending on which season you watched. It's just that was the mindset. And here Zordon still missing in action. I have the volume turned off to avoid copyright. Jason looking despondent. Wish I could get my hands on this Green Ranger dude. It's a good quick recap without doing a traditional previously on Power Rangers. As we see Billy with Trini assisting, getting a better look at the inner workings of Alpha and the command center. I've theorized that Billy has hardwired himself into this place. Just the amount of time he puts into it and the various, what we need is not at the command center, it's in my lab. But it's a great showing that Alpha's part of the family. He's not just an appliance. See Zach smiling that he's fine, that he's being repaired. This is, I'm sure that's the first time he's smiled in a long time. As our villains begin to gloat, I'm going to turn the brightness up on my eyes. Ain't what they used to be, folks. As they're now finalizing the Sword of Darkness, the best sword Power Rangers has ever introduced, next to Saba, which I'm sure our friend of the show, guest on Sunday, Joe will debate me on. If you checked out yesterday's show, Joe isn't the biggest Tommy Oliver fan, but we're gonna dive deep into that just a little bit more when he comes on for part 4. And back in the famous alley, one of my dreams is to go to Power Morphicon. They do guided tours of these filming locations. That alley is still there. And as far as last year before that, this year, it looks exactly the same. So that is definitely on the bucket list as we look at the Mark Richardson molded green power coin and the real stars of the show, Bulk and Skull. Why would you mess with him after he gave you the business in front of everyone at school? Why do you think an alleyway will be any better? As Tommy doesn't back down. Just JDF's look of utter just disdain. And there are the eyes. Because we need you to know that Tommy is not actually this cruel. That's all a spell, as lasers come out of his eyes. He enjoyed that. JDF was always great at mean mugging the camera. What's up with that guy? I don't know, but he should have his eyes checked. Quick look back, getting notifications on my phone. That's great. Here we see Jason rather. You can see how much it bothers him that yeah. Zordon never mentioned anything about a Green Ranger. Zordon doesn't mention a lot, Jason. Doesn't tell you about Titanus till you need him. Doesn't tell you about the Power Eggs or the Morphin Masters. Maybe the guy's working for Rita. You think? That the first words out of this man's mouth to you guys were "Long live Empress Rita." That's all I'm saying. What a mess. We are at just approaching the 6-minute mark. If anyone's joining us late, we are rewatching Green with Evil Part 2, Jason's Battle. Can you do it, Billy? Affirmative. Of course he can. He's Billy. Tommy, the fishnet tank top. One thing, friend of the show, Carl Dunton, talks about when rewriting this story with a different spin for the audio drama. This is the subterfuge is very Tommy doesn't hide that he's evil at all. Tommy just you are not the center of everyone's universe. Ouch. And Kim's, well, excuse me for living, right out of a 90210 episode. And Tommy just the sword of darkness is something he must earn. Think beating up the entire team single-handedly. Now they're all just walking around. Babu has a accordion. There's a flute. They were just having a party. Patience. You must defeat the putties, and then you'll receive the Sword of Darkness. That was Tommy's first test to be chosen as the Green Ranger. But this fight, the early showcases of Tommy up against the putties, no morphing, was a stroke of genius to just show you how tough this kid is. Canonically, at first, 17, just beating up these putties. And let's remember, Day of the Dumpster, our 5 original heroes could not fight putties without morphing. And still had to use misdirection and cleverness to defeat putties. And this is Tommy Oliver by himself, no ranger powers, just beating up Rita's foot soldiers. There you go, running up. The flying Hurricane Rana, shades of the original Sentai footage, where Dragon Ranger Barai did the same move against the Rangers. Welcome to the club. The Sword of Darkness. That is just a nasty looking sword, and I want one. I still want one at 32 years old. And the Red Ranger will be the first to go. They're waiting. I can get with the red shirt. It's the red pants for me. I'm like, really? Like Tommy just has a random pair of green jeans, which they more of a. I understand. Oh. The Dark Dimension. Rita's Dark Dimension. I love it. The red lighting, the bars, the otherworldliness of this. These two just waiting. Don't bother to check. It's like, it's weird. Now he's all alone. I know the feeling right now. And enter Goldar. This is before Goldar was a bit of a joke in later seasons. This is one of the scariest moments as a kid. He is by himself. He has no morpher. This is Jason's test. Tommy had his with the putties. This, I argue, is a much bigger test. And yet on equal footing. Whereas Tommy has dealt with putties with his first fight. So he is somewhat familiar fighting these guys. Jason is very familiar fighting Goldar, but not without his powers. So you have that advantage disadvantage of knowing your enemy, but also taking away that which you're used to fighting with. And the rad bug is so awesome. This is the one time Zach can try and Zach really steps up as second in command here. Whereas Kim just thinks about Tommy. The Power Chamber knows how I feel about Kim's writing in this first season. And Zach bringing it back to earth with, we got bigger problems to worry about. Plop it right there. And yeah, Zordon's still missing. I love that car. Love the Rad Bug. But we are at 13 minutes and 25 seconds right now of Green with Evil Part 2. Green Ranger. Zach says this is our chance to get to the bottom of it. He took y'all down single-handedly the first time. I get this screen, dude. Thanks, YouTube captioning. So let's get this screen, dude. I want my power morpher now. Nate Marchand of the Power Trip's favorite line, Goldar, now you are demanding, soon you will be begging. Backflip. Oh. Don't kill me, I'll get gold. Here we go. Jason not backing down. Despite being put into the wall very easily. Time I choose. Just that, like tossing some meat to a hungry lion. It's morphin' time. Here we go. That Sword of Darkness, a fight 4-on-1, and Tommy still. This is, as a kid, I could only imagine being so worried about what's going to happen because Tommy does not let up, and this sword just gives him even more power that he can use against them. That you suspend the disbelief for a moment because of course you think it's a TV show, the good guys are going to win, but how are they going to win and at what cost? Because Tommy is not letting up, and now we have the Zords coming out. It's both. Zordon says don't escalate a fight unless Rita forces you to. There are no giant monsters this time. Tommy himself, by himself, has caused them to realize that the Green Ranger alone has escalated this fight to the point where the Zords are needed. And they can't form properly without Jason. I stand corrected. The Tyrannosaurus just kind of shows up to help. It makes more sense to the Sentai when they're all sentient and can think for themselves. This one just doesn't make any sense when Jason is not there to pilot the Tyrannosaurus, but autopilot, teach their own. Here we have the Megazord saying something. Capsule's not telling me, and I don't think he actually says anything in the episode. But Tommy disappears. This is less the Rangers winning and more that they had to resort to the Megazord to get the Green Ranger out of commission, even for a second. To get the Green Ranger to retreat, they had to jump into their suit of armor. This is essentially Batman Beyond. If you remember, Bruce Wayne the reason he retired was that he had to resort to using a gun to ward off a thug. This is the same. They had to jump into a Megazord to beat one guy. And Goldar and Jason, this is such a tense fight. And Goldar is still saying, I might not get rid of you. And they're panicking. They had to jump into their Zords to even come close to leveling with Tommy. And now they are desperately saying, we need to find Jason. We can't do this without Jason. And Zordon is almost there. And they almost had it. They almost had answers. This power morpher, you could get out of here. That cat and mouse. Come and get it. To be continued. Holy shit, guys. And that was Green with Evil Part 2. That you feel it building. And now Jason is at the mercy of Goldar's sword. Goldar has the high ground. This is such a desperation episode where Jason is desperate to get to his morpher, to get out of the dark dimension. The Rangers are desperate to find some way of competing with the power of the Green Ranger. And Tommy is just chomping at the bit to take out these Rangers and serve his Empress Rita. Like, this is not a whole lot of people talk about the Ranger side of Part 2. They talk about Jason fighting Goldar, but I don't hear a lot of people talking about the Rangers had to use the Megazord on a normal sized Tommy. Nothing was even scratching the Green Ranger, especially with that Sword of Darkness, to the point where they had to use the Megazord. Say what you will about Power Rangers, that it's for kids, that it's cheese. That is arguably one of my favorite episodes. And like the fun is just beginning, where we don't have Jason yet. Like, let's review, class. The end of this episode, things have only gotten worse for the team. Alpha is back. Yes, we have a gain, but we also have a loss of Jason. And the team is severely outnumbered with just on a power level perspective, that you wonder what's going to happen next. And obviously it's been 30 years. We're celebrating the 30th anniversary of these episodes. A week of this. This is Tuesday in your week, boys and girls. And things have gotten worse for your favorite team that you love to watch after school. And they almost had Zordon. And they lost him. So I, for one, cannot wait to rewatch Part 3, The Rescue, tomorrow at the same time. I see we don't have an audience live, but that's okay. It was just me talking for the past 30 some odd minutes. And I want to thank those of you that are checking it out afterwards. We're probably going to keep it nice and short and come back tomorrow for part 3, the rescue, where we see the arrival of Scorpina, a desperate attempt to get their leader back, and more mayhem with the Green Ranger. So I invite you all to come join me tomorrow night for the Power Chamber. I am the Hey Buddy Black Ranger, Rob Buck. We'll see you next time on the Power Chamber. Go now, and may the power protect you.
The Power Chamber is a proud member of the Hey Buddy Podcast Network. Please visit HeyBuddy.com to find links to all of our social media, as well as our official merchandise store, HeyBuddy.myspreadshop.com. Remember, that's Hey with a YYY. The Power Chamber has no affiliation with Hasbro or Saban Entertainment. All clips belong to their respective owners.